All right. So we're getting started here. Hi, everyone. Welcome
Hello.
to the World of Women podcast. We are very glad that you're here today. And we are streaming live. And today is July the 5th. Yesterday, we all celebrated the independence of the United States. And I hope everybody enjoyed the day. The sun was out. Everyone had good time, I hope. So today we have in our midst Alyssa Banks. She is our guest speaker today. She's gonna share with us all the wonderful work she has done. And she will actually share her bio as well. And I just want to remind us that this podcast is brought to you by World of Ability podcast in collaboration with Transform You Network and PAC. As always, we're glad for the opportunity to reach out to our audience through this means. And now I'm going to pass it on to Alyssa to take it away.
Yes, so thank you, Zeta. So my name is Alistair Banks. I am a multi-generational author, motivational speaker, and blogger. I am from McCormick, South Carolina. I am a graduate of Leonard University, where I received my bachelor's degree in mass communications in 2013. I have now been featured in the Index Journal, the Press and Banner, the McCormick Messenger. I am a co-author, a part of a book called The Dose of Hope, Part 5. And I'm also a co-author with evangelist Rachita Rogers. And my chapter in her book is called Food Rectified by God. And as a small town McCormick, South Carolina native, I enjoy arts and music. I love going for nature walks, and I love poetry.
So can you share with us more about your books? Because you have really written a lot of books from what I can gather. So you want to share with us from the ones you wrote by yourself and of course the ones that you were a co-author.
Yes, so I've written several books now, like you just mentioned. So I write children's books, I do poetry books, I have 3 gratitude journals for all ages, and I write Christian fiction for young adult women. So my 2 children's picture books are called A Colorful Balloon Ride, which helps preschoolers and kindergartners how to identify and match colors with the help of Mr. John. And Lenny the Lizard and His Green Scarf is about a lizard named Lenny who shares his green scarf with his woodland friends, Peggy the pig, Michael the mouse, Otter the river otter, and Blue the blue jay bird. And Spring Brings Summer is my seasonal poetry book, and it talks about some of the memories of spring and summer that I got to share with my mom, and just being able to enjoy our time out in nature together, enjoying seeing the Japanese blossom trees, the palm trees, being at the beach, seeing, new birth, like that first bird that hatches at the beginning of spring, and so many more things are in the book. And my mother is illustrated in the book. So I was really excited that I was able to have that opportunity to feature her in the book right along with myself. And The Pursuit of Love and Hope is my nonfiction poetry book. And this talks about some of the feelings and emotions I've been through in my personal life of dealing with isolation, dealing with fear, identity crisis, intimacy, and trust when it came to love and relationships. And Girl Rise is my novel, and Allie Billings is basically considered my alter ego. And so Allie kind of goes along her path in life of trying to discover her true self and trying to figure out the things that she wants out of life. And she has 4 love relationships, and her first love was John. And then her second love is Mark. Her third love is Nick. And her last love is Lee, right before she met Greg Douglas through one of her guy friends, Dylan. And so Allie, at that point in time, I think she placed love in a man in that she struggled finding happiness within herself. And I felt like it was through God that she got to find true happiness. And I think as she got older, she got to understand God's word and where her self-worth was found in. And just like many of us, we struggle with trying to find our way, trying to fit in with social groups. And the friends Allie made along the way kind of further encouraged her to stay true to herself and stay positive and to try to stay optimistic about life when trials and tribulations come your way. And so Allie's parents divorced when separated when she was 6 years old. And then the next year, their marriage divorce was finalized, and her brother was diagnosed with Down syndrome when he was a toddler, and she also got to face her grandmother having the ups and downs with her mental health, and it was just really hard for Allie to understand it at such a young age as a child. But as she got older, she understood her grandmother's delusional schizophrenia and how her grandmother had resources to help her with that. And Allie got explained to her what that was through one of her grandmother's doctors. And so that brought that issue to life for her. And Allie was able to help her grandmother cope with that mental health disorder. And then Cracking the Happy Weight Code. This is also Allie Billings' story about how she struggled with weight and peer pressure and being bullied in school. And I think food for Allie was maybe a sense of, like in the South, people reward yourself with food, and that Allie became an emotional eater when it came to coping and dealing with her brother's Down syndrome, her parents getting a divorce, her grandmother's mental health, and also just struggling and fitting in because she was shy, reserved, and quiet. And she probably basically stayed to herself most of her childhood. And the friends that she did make, I think they helped Allie to break out of her shell and to help her to open up and be able to express, her true identity and the sweet, bubbly personality of a young lady that she truly was. So they helped her to break out of her shell, which was Carly, Maria, Samantha Wilson when she got to college. And that's how she met Samantha, was when she was a sophomore in college. And so I had the 3 gratitude journals, which were really interesting to write and talk about. And I felt like at certain points in my life, it was hard for me to be grateful about life because nobody did want to offer me a whole lot of job opportunities. Just like most college graduates, they all struggle with trying to find a job once they do graduate from college and just trying to weave their way through the whole job application process and trying to build their job skills up. And it became very discouraging for me personally. And so I felt like it was really hard for me to be grateful about life, and especially hard for me to have a positive mindset. And I think my perception of life wasn't very good at that point in time in my life until I joined an organization that helps small business women with networking and all. And I landed an internship that helped me to understand the small business arena. And that was business and professional women. And they kind of helped guide me to understand, understand marketing and branding your business and what your goal and mission is to help others. And so I instilled those principles into my business that I do now. And so I was very grateful to have that opportunity to be able to be a social media marketing intern for a home and office organization business at that time. And so the gratitude journals just helps those to feel grateful about themselves and life. And also in the book I have affirmations at the bottom of each page, and I have coloring pages, a place where people can draw if you're a drawer, and I have positive quotes that go across the coloring pages that helps those to feel grateful, to feel good about themselves. One of the quotes in the adult journal says, "I am powerful," across the coloring page. And in the teen journal, one of them says, "You're unbreakable." And in the children's journal, I decided to do more of an emphasis about writing because I'm trying to help children to understand how to write things down that they're grateful for. And also I leave a space for them to help them to draw the things that bring them joy, that help them to feel good. And also in the children's journal, I have also at the bottom of the page, my mood, and the child can also bubble in how they're feeling that day, whether they're feeling sad, whether they're feeling happy, whether they're feeling indifferent. And this helps the child day by day to monitor their mood and where they're at.
Wow, that's awesome, and that's a lot really that you are doing and have also accomplished. Looking at listening to you, you did say something at the start there about you wrote about love and hope, and that was also in connection from the way you were feeling isolated. Now, as you may have known, isolation is one of the social issues here in the United States. Can you really speak to that a little bit more, however you feel comfortable? And what do you want to tell young people? Because I know it's across the board with isolation, but I think the social isolation that younger people are feeling these days, some of them to the point of unfortunately taking their own life. It is becoming a public health emergency, put it that way. So how do you want to, approach that from your own personal perspective, and how do you, how would you encourage the young people to handle it?
I encourage the young people to handle isolation. It was a growth tool for me. It helped me to grow as a person, helped me to understand who I truly am and who I associate myself with, who I have relations with as well too. And so through the period of isolation, it shouldn't be seen like as punishment. It should be seen as growth.
Great. Yeah. So it's a growth process, right? Because sometimes part of that is identity crisis.
Yeah.
Part of that, that's what it's all about. You're growing to become whatever
Yeah.
it is you're created to be. And it's normal to some extent to be confused, to feel isolated, to really wonder, what am I here for? What am I really doing here? And that's when parenting and family support comes into play. Because when a young man or a young girl is growing up, there's a lot of feelings. There's a lot of, sensations. There's a lot going on, including peer pressure,
Yeah.
that parents are really supposed to be aware of, and bringing support however they feel it will help the child, because each child is different, right? Some will prefer, like, yeah, we want parents to come talk to them. Some will really say, I just want to be on my own, but it's also trying to find out from the child or from the young person, how do you think we can help you? How can we be of help to you? And also identify with them that, yes, you had gone through that, period in your own life, even though it's a long time ago. You might not remember everything that went on, but let the child, the girl or the boy know that you really feel for them, because
Yeah.
that's very critical. Don't allow them to be on their own, because if no one is identifying with them, they feel more isolated. It's like nobody's even really connecting. It looks like what I'm doing is nobody has ever done it, and more isolation happens that way, and may cause really some of them to go to the other direction, which we don't want. So you're talking to the young people, and I'm sure some of your books will really be helpful for them,
Yeah.
right? So I would like you to please put your information on the chat, so
Sure.
that, so that people can look at, contact you, and see what the books you've written, see what can help them. And we also have parents on this, on this podcast. who I'm sure some of them might have questions for you about your own experience and how you handled it. Like,
Yeah.
if they have other questions they want to add to what I have just asked you. Yeah, so please right now, if anyone has any questions for Alistair, please, this is your time to ask your questions. She has really done a great job in doing, writing books and stuff like that. So I don't want to hog all the questions. So please go ahead and ask your questions. You can unmute yourself.
Or if you're more comfortable with putting the questions in the chat, though, that would be fine too.
Yes, that is true too. If you want to put your questions in the chat, please feel free and do that. That is, yeah, that's an option as well.
And I also have an online course now called How to Tackle the 7 Behaviors of Self-Sabotage. So that helps us also with feelings of fear and isolation. Yeah. So that was really interesting.
Yeah. So you were saying something about while we're waiting for anyone that has a question, you said something about how you really landed your business, so to speak, was through your internship, right?
Right.
Yeah. So is there any word of advice that you can actually throw out there for young people? Because you never know where your future is going to be, so knowing that this is how you really landed your business, what can you say reflecting on that now? What we tell someone who is graduating soon, what they should do and how they should approach, anything they're doing in life for their own future?
I would say for them to develop more of their skills, maybe seek out advice from one of the local chamber of commerces. For me, I create a LinkedIn profile, so I just listed on there all my skills, work experience, projects I've done, maybe causes you've been involved in while you're in high school, organizations. Those kind of things can make an impact with your future job employment, and also your business credibility as well. And also reviews of people that have worked alongside you in school, or those that have worked with you, like doing volunteer type work.
Okay. Yeah, you mentioned that volunteer type work. I was actually going to ask you a question about that. So like, that our podcast, and actually Zita's Healthy Beginnings, we are inclined to taking care of women and children, and all over here in the United States and in Africa. And actually, some people support us through volunteer, others will support financially, others will actually make connections, like connect us with other organizations. So in your local South Carolina, what are you doing? Is there, I should put it this way, is there anything that you're doing in the community, that really enhances women and children future or life or something? Or do you have any plan in the future to do that?
I would love to plan to do that in the near future. So being able to maybe volunteer with an organization or get involved with the type of cause that centers around what I do.
Yeah, that would be great, because that will, people seeing you and your people seeing you would know that, okay, you will be an exemplary to them, because whatever we do, we're just out there like this, the lamp shining, and people look at you, they're like, oh, wow, look at what she's doing. I might try this too, So yeah, that's why I'm asking, because we always want to really either support people, educate people, or encourage people to live their life to the fullest, depending on their strengths, skills, and talents. and then us being an exemplary to people. So yeah, hi Hannah, that's okay. We understand. We are talking about Alistair is giving us a whole information about herself, what she's accomplished. She's a writer. She is really a great business entrepreneur, right? And she's reading a whole lot of books, and I co-author as well. So I am really glad that you mentioned something about we were talking about Ali when you were telling us her story. And you said she was like going through until she found God, and it was God, that really helped her to find whatever it is. So speak a little bit about your relationship with God and what you're doing right now, if you can.
Yes. So my relationship with God is just like talking to a friend, having that real close, intimate, personal relationship, and different prayers. I have a prayer book that I do meditate on. I wish I had it on hand, but I also enjoyed this too as well. This is a devotional book that I reflect on from time to time, and it's called Streams in the Desert.
Okay. Yeah.
And also the purpose-driven life was another tool that I used as well.
Yeah, the purpose-driven life, that is a good one too. And I think bottom line is whatever we want to do with our lives, we need to find what is the purpose. Who are we called to be? And we can only find out when we go right inside ourselves, ask that question to God, to the high power, to the one that knows everything, and find out for ourselves the direction we're being called to follow. Because the direction one person is called to follow might not be the same as another person. And if we try to just, emulate what someone else is doing, and not really finding out what is our own life purpose, you can really learn from other people, but you really need to know what is the center of your own purpose before you can actually, build yourself up with other people's expertise and skills and talents. But if one is not really aware of what their life purpose is, it becomes such a challenge, and frustration. And you're like, I don't understand. And one can get really distracted easily. So it is very critical that individuals find out what their purpose in life is. And you can also ask your parents, your close friends to really, affirm what it is that they have seen in you that you do best.
Yeah.
And Alistair, can you tell us when you were like growing up and trying to pursue your life purpose, was there a time when a friend or family member really affirmed what they see in you that you feel this really resonates with me?
Yes, so I feel like my family and my best friend Emily saw my talent for writing and being able to spread love to others. And so I acted on that, and it resonated with me, and it just made me feel good on the inside. And that, more importantly, I guess my advice for someone is what brings you joy and what makes you happy. And also, like, what are some things that your family and friends see in you that you're good at, and those things that you need to act upon on.
Yes, absolutely. And believe it or not, it's when we do the things that bring us joy, that is when the best of us come out. Whenever you do what you love, what gives you energy, what makes you wake up in the morning, it gives you life, it makes you vibrate, and people around you will see you and really know, yes, she is fully alive. And that is very important. If you're doing something that doesn't really give you joy, you want to think about it. and ask yourself, am I really on the right track for who I am called to be? That is very important. So anyone has questions or comments for the topic we're talking about? You can also, like I said, you can also put your comments on the chat or questions on the chat.
Alistair, how often do you do the class, or what? Can you explain a little more about like the course or the?
Okay, so the course it has 47 lessons in it, and so it has 7 chapters. So first chapter is fear, and then shame. I do uncontrolled thoughts. I do bitterness. I touch on hopelessness, insecurity. Yeah.
You do that yourself, or you have other people that work with you?
So I had someone that helped me to create the online course as well, but just with us collaborating, working together, we were able to come up with the content for it. So it's broken down into what are each of the types of behaviors, what are the causes and the effects of them, how do these behaviors arise, and how to overcome them. And I have quizzes that are provided at the end of each lesson too, to help. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That's really a tool that anybody actually can use, because all the feelings we're talking about is across the board. You know, every single person, whether you're man or woman, boy or girl, we all have, most of those feelings because they're human feelings. And it's important to really recognize that as a fact and also know why one is having whatever feeling that one is having at a particular time. And sometimes not the feelings are not the issue themselves. It's what actually we do with them.
Yeah.
That really it's a problem. It's really a challenge. And that goes down to how do we manage ourselves? How do we manage life in general? Because life will throw at you something that will bring the worst out of you as well as the best. So question is, how do we really manage ourselves so that the best of us will always show up instead of the worst of us?
I think we have to manage ourselves with taking ourselves away from our feelings and emotions, because we're not our feelings and emotions. We're not our fears. We're not our feelings of shame. We're not our uncontrolled thoughts. We're not.
Yeah. So you talked about belonging to business of professional women.
Mm-hmm.
So is that a local business, or is that a national group of entrepreneurs?
It's a local group that I have participated in, and it's called Business and Professional Women of Greenwood, South Carolina.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So that's really powerful. And I'm sure people know that there are local groups that one can be part of to, first of all, get connected, to get support for oneself. And another reason would be to collaborate a network for resources that might help help family, and also help the community, because that is the essence of who we are. If we bring all our skills and talents together, we can really make our world a better place. And that is very important.
Yes, absolutely.
If anyone has some comments or more questions?
Hannah.
Yeah, and Alice, Alistar, I want to pronounce it correctly. Can you share your information with me?
Sure. And this is Hannah.
Yes.
Yes, I'm sending you my website now.
Oh, great. Okay, great. It's Alistar.
Alistair.
Okay. I don't want to mispronounce. Okay.
That's okay.
Yeah, I'd love to connect. Okay.
Oh.
I'm at that. Okay.
Looks like Dr. Emmanuel has
Okay, yeah. He has it. You can, yes. Dr. Emmanuel, you can, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, can you all hear me?
Yes.
We can hear you.
Thank you all for your engagements and your talks tonight. I've just been listening, and Alisa, thank you so very much for your talk. And I've just really listened to you, and one or two things kind of struck me. And I know that those things are things that were instrumental to your foundation. One, you mentioned about when you begin to understand God, have a connection with God, and then what you're doing right now, you know. And I have heard a lot of things about feelings, fears, you know, emotions, you know, and these are wonderful, you know, things we talked about. See, when I'm privileged to have gone through a medical school and been privileged to go through psychiatry and psychotherapy with all the psychoanalytic theory of Freud, Sigmund Freud, and Snyder, and all those ones. And then we came to the realization that it's only God and God alone, because man is a spirit being that has a soul and is encased in a body. And therefore, for man to operate in the first instance, the life we live is not our own. These are things that we don't understand. And when we miss it, then we've already gone off the track. And then eventually going to see how it's going to be a rolling stone. Life is spiritual. And that is why, you know, when one puts God first, things tend to take a different course. But when we decide to take our own course, what I mean by our own is what we learn and what we are taught, then we begin to say things. When we look at what is going on today in our world, in our society, there is an outbreak of, you know, childhood or young age depression and all those things. Why is it that? Children are not being raised to know God.
Yeah.
God has been taken away from schools. And when you don't raise a child in the way he should go, when he grows up, he's going to be confused. There is confusion in our children these days. I pity the children that are growing up in our society because there is a confusion. There are kids who see two mothers. They don't know who is their father and who is their mother. There are kids who see two fathers, two men. They don't know who is their mother and their father. So these kids are being raised. So, and when a child has lost his compass of life, it's going to be difficult. Then you begin to see that life is empty without God. Why? Because the life we live is of God and for God. I've come to the pinnacle of my life and career as a physician and saw that it's all about knowledge that's limited, which we call science. That beyond science is the miracle of God. And if you see patients, I've seen them. I've been in 3 specialties. I've been an OBGYN, I've been a general practitioner and an anesthesiologist. I've gone through this phase and I've come to the conclusion that the knowledge of God is what any man can seek and hold on to. The knowledge of science is limited and subject to change. The things that I learned in my pre-medical years about 27 years ago doesn't hold again in science of today. So, but the word of God has remained the same and will ever remain the same. So what am I saying? I'm so glad you are trying to tell people about God. That is the greatest thing any person can have. Psychology, psychotherapy, all these things have limitations. These are the theories of men that will hold what after some years, somebody will come up again and cancel. But the word of God stands forever. And that is what it says. This disease of the mind is what we call psychic. And nobody can heal it except the creator of the mind. Who created the mind? God. And that is why there's something you talked about, your meditation. You have a prayer book. Meditation is the greatest tool. And our mind is the greatest battle of our life. And the Bible described our mind as the doorway to our spirit. It's the candle of the spirit that God used to searches the body. When the mind of a man is messed up, the whole of his life is messed up. And that is exactly what is going on in our society today. Kids don't even know who to follow. People who were raised in dysfunctional family are having kids and they're raising them in a dysfunctional state. You cannot give what you don't have. And that is the challenge we have. There is an attack on family in our society. There is an attack in our families. There's an attack in our faith. Because man wants to be free. He doesn't want to live according to who created him. And that is what he's saying. When you run away from God, you will not run for too far. You will now find out that man can only destroy himself. And that is what man is. And that is what he's saying. The heart of a man is desperately wicked and deceptive. Who will know it except God? Think about it. Look at the world we live in today. We are talking of peace and peace and peace. There is no peace.
Yeah.
There is no peace. Peace will elude us because we don't understand who is the author of peace is God. See, I'm not going to take your time, but I want to tell you I so much appreciate you because the core basis of your training is your connection with God. You know, I have had clients go to AAA, they come back and go back. Why not? It will not hold because until a training is connected to the higher being who is God, there will always be a relapse. But when people are connected to their creator, spirit is aligned to the creator because he said he's going to make us in his own image and likeness. So we have the spirit of God. That's why we can create. That's why we can think of do great things. But we have now given that praise to ourselves instead of the creator. That is why we have this problem in our society. And for us to solve it, we must go back to the basics. And that basics is holding on to God, who is the author and finisher of our faith. So thank you so very much. I don't want to take your time, but I'm so much impressed. You know, I believe that people who are listening to you will understand it. It's not only the human knowledge you have, the love you show. There is a core foundation of your training, and that is your connection with God. And that is the greatest thing any man can have. Thank you all so very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. That was powerful. Anyone else want to comment or ask questions? So, Alistair, do you have office, like regular office?
Yes.
Okay. I guess the whole thing would be then your information, right? When we click on your website.
Yes.
We can get all of that. Okay, great. Thank you so much for coming to talk to us today. And we are really excited and so impressed with all you've shared. And I am hopeful that our audience and those who are also not connected directly with us today will get the time, find time to listen to this podcast and connect with you and really get the resources they need to really build themselves up and contribute to the society because this is what we are all about. All of us have gifts that we all can really use, you know, for ourselves and also for everybody to build the community. Because it's when we all bring our resources together, skills and talents, that's when our society will become a better place to live. So we're not going to allow, you know, one person to do it. It is for everybody. It's everybody's responsibility. Doretta, were you gonna say something? I saw this sign, but I'm not sure what that meant. Okay, maybe not. All right, so for next week, we will be having River Easter. She will be talking to us similar to what we listened to Alistair talk about today. She is going to share with us how she has walked in her own life, what that has meant for her, and also to help people out there who are still trying to find their own path in life. And we know this is really an ongoing thing. No one person has it all, knows it all. All of us we're all on a journey, so companions on the journey is what we're looking for. People who think, like us, people who have the resources that really have helped them to be who they are. Those are the people we want to also listen to, connect with, so we can build ourselves up and in turn build other people up. So thank you for coming, and you have been a blessing to us today, this podcast. And we will be also posting this podcast on our YouTube website, LinkedIn, and everywhere else. So, and I will send you the link so you can share with your friends. Okay.
All right. Great.
All right. Okay. So do you have any final words for us before we close?
Just know that you are a strong individual. You are loved. You are enough. You are one of a kind, and you are unique.
Absolutely. I really love those words. And I hope everybody heard what Alistair has said to us. Let's end this evening with those beautiful words. Hannah, you want something? Do you have something to say?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just wanted to ask Alistair, is she a writer? Would she, because I'm writing my book. Does she do writing for other people?
Yes, I do.
Oh, okay, great. I think is it called a ghostwriter?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. I'm going to get in touch with you, okay, Alistair?
Okay.
And I put my info in. Did you see my info? Okay.
Okay, great. Yeah. Yeah.
Great. Okay, sorry.
All right. So no, that's fine. That's fine. If people want to save this podcast, like the contacts and connections we have, you can do that by clicking the 3 dots on the right-hand side. I'm not sure if everybody can see it. And it gives you option to save it. It says save chart. So you can save it, but remember where you saved it. Because sometimes if you don't, then you're going to spend a lot of time, trying to figure out where it is. So, yeah. So I wish everyone a wonderful night. And remember, we do podcasts every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. So share with your friends and have them join us every Tuesday. And please go to our website, subscribe to our YouTube so you can stay in touch with us. Thank you all and have a beautiful night.
I want to say thank you to Alistair. That was very awesome and wonderful. And thank you and good night to all of you.
Thank you, Doretta.
Yeah.
All right. Have a good night, everyone.
Wonderful presentation. Wonderful.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Al.
Thank you so much.
Zita. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.